or plain and simple injustice when regarded as not deserved. So I don't deserve it. This is just pure and plain simple injustice. Why me? Right? Do you have any other example? So those probably are the more popular ones. Okay. All right. So, according to Spiritism, pain is, that's good, an opportunity for our spiritual development, expansion, like, for example, Colin like to say. So according to Joanna D'Angelis, right, the cause of pain is in the spiritual past of each of us. Okay? We all remain, and this is also an opportunity we choosing to rescue imperfections in our past. As I said before, all the pain is in our past. So some experiences that are required for us to leave them, to just rescue them. And the interesting thing is, we all remain around the people that we have committed to those, to that past. And God justice provides us with the opportunities to our redemption, mainly through love and work. Pain, on the other hand, or adversity, if you perceive as a pain, right, is an awakening mechanism for the need to grow spiritually. It's through such adversities that you have the opportunity to raise our attention to someone else's suffering, someone else's pain. So awake us for that other people's pain. So the pain sometimes come to this, to awaken us about that. We are living a nice life, yes, and then something bad happens. Because when we are happy and well, we don't think about someone else's pain. We need to be in pain to be stuck. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Continue.
There's two things about pain. One is that happens to you, and the ones that you cause yourself. Because adversity could be something that you yourself dig, put on your own path. Say, I'm driving a car, I can go through the mud or go through the road. And I just said, oh, you know what? I'm going through the mud. And then you got stuck. And then you have an adversity because you were unprepared, you didn't plan, you didn't, so you caused yourself adversity. So
yes.
It's different to a rock fall on my head.
Yeah. But this is fall again into that definitions I did before.
Talking about the ones that
on the perception, on that perception that is it's a suffering. That's when fall, what you just said, fall on that perception, which not necessarily it's the right perception. So we're going through this, right? According to Spiritism, still pain, the pain as balance and education. When I say pain here, it's just for communication, because not need to be perceived as pain as we go through the presentation, right? But I'm using as the Spiritism usually define on the books, most of them, pain as so pain is used as balance, so pain perceived as balance and education, right? So it does that is the repercussion of past violations to divine laws of love, justice, and charity. Sometimes spiritists are regarded as sad people, because we suffer of our because of our conviction that pain is a stage to our spiritual improvement. The missing point here is that we may just be more responsible. More responsible.
Jachson, sorry, can you just try to put your microphone tiny bit closer to your mouth?
Hello? Yeah. So the missing point for people, that's good. So the missing point for people who think that we are sufferers is that maybe we are just more responsible, as we have learned with the Spiritism that time is valuable. So we don't waste it with frugalities. Okay. In addition, we have a quite good understanding of the role of pain. The role that pain plays, not as punishment, but as opportunities for us to grow and adjust with the experiences that are presented to us. Right?
Does that common sense that if you don't learn through love, you learn through pain?
Yeah.
Like usually parents tell us about that.
Okay. According to Spiritism, involving all components that may be associated with past experiences, when we were less aware, but we are now prepared to this new life. Everybody goes through a kind of pain. And as I said before, this is something from the past, or even from the past, it's still in this life. But as the Spiritism says, cause and effect. Epictetus was a Greek philosopher of the 1st century, right? He's the proponent of a philosophy current called Stoicism, which argued that life should be lived by virtue and the laws of nature, with indifference to everything external. All right? According to Epictetus, morality means accepting fate with calm and rational composure. Right? And he continues saying that the things are only what we imagine they are. So with our will, we can subdue, suppress the pain, or at least make it work in our favor. He continues saying, the idea we make about happiness, misery and joy, and pain vary to infinity, depending on the level of individual evolution, spiritual evolution. So the pure, the good, the wise, the wise soul cannot be happy in the same way a less evolved is or are. See? So the good one, this kind of soul cannot be happy in the same way the other one is. So there are differences between that perception. Okay. So another thing is what amazes one is not the same that amazes the other. And this is quite understandable. Depending on your background, depending on your developing your levels of moral, things that amazes you can be different from another person at totally different level. Okay. And in this case here is when he said, he mentioned the good, the evolved, is the ability to reflect. Right? So, he says it's very hard to make men understand that pain is good. Right? And he said as well that in order to all futures to expand into light, the pain is necessary. The sadness and suffering make us see, listen, and feel thousands of things that a happy man or a vulgar man cannot perceive. I just mentioned this before. A happy man, when we are in happiness, we cannot perceive certain things. Okay? And it seems that the modern psychology confirms that. That's beautiful. Follow that. There are two, in my research, I found Dr. Lenise Brandão and Maria Bella. They are psychotherapy and psycho-oncology and thanatology. I don't know what pathology is, but yeah, those are their areas of expertise. Yeah. Okay, so they have an article published in O Globo, a very reputable journal, newspaper in Brazil, about the negative perception of illness. Okay? In general, people perceive illness as negative. They think that we are sudden victims of the destiny affected by a disease that disturbs our lives. Okay? And we don't take responsibility for our illness. In general, when we're committed, when we are, get that. And we don't even commit with our own cure. What we do, and most do when we are, feeling that state, we expect, what do we expect when we have a serious disease, particularly serious disease? Is that a professional will reestablish our health through an intervention external to our organism. So come another person, come here, do something externally and fix it. Right? There is a new proposal now. A new proposal, a different perception for adversity, I would say, because you can generalize this to adversity. The new approach is aiming at rescuing the positive of an illness. Okay, how to do this? So, the illness forces us. So such positivity, can be achieved as we start facing the illness as a possibility for reflection and reorganization. Okay? The illness forces to stop an accelerated rhythm in our lives. So usually when a serious disease makes us stop, sometimes, you are in the really big thing, doing whatever, putting a lot of energy in a very accelerated rhythm. The disease's pain makes us to stop. Then we start thinking. So the more serious is the illness, the deeper is the reflection, the more open we become to changes in ourselves and in our relationships, and in our lifestyle. So we rethink our lives, review important points that have been forgotten. And we start seeking for what we regard as the essential in our lives, in ourselves. We start thinking about what really is not essential, what is frugal, and a number of questions emerge, fundamental questions emerge, like what I have done with my life so far. what I have achieved as a person. What was or is the root cause of the illness? What I am missing? And from understanding, and so we reassess our life and how we have conducted our life so far. It's in the middle of this process that we actually understand our life, our illness. And understanding our illness, it's no longer something that suddenly took us, but our participation in the sickness process. Right? So, and from this understanding, so not just by consciously choosing the treatment. So we start then tracking back the process and start participating in our own cure. Not just by consciously choosing the treatment, but reassessing our life, changing attitudes, feelings, beliefs, values, changing our life. We reach a level of satisfaction so far unknown to us, and that makes us feel good. So instead of seeing illness as enemy, we see it as an alert that we are crossing our own limits. So we can actually use that an example of illness to any other adversity when it reaches. But did you see that a bad thing was actually turned into a good thing, in an opportunity for us to change, to move towards a better way, a better and rationalized way of life? So in fact, the adversity is not the enemy. I'll show you I'll show you something now that we consider as an adversity. A big nose. So in fact, what is it? If the adversity is not the enemy, what is it? See that she's sitting comfortably with a jar and her nose go and reach the jar. It's a blessing in disguise. Okay, so if any adversity is a blessing in disguise, what do we need to reach? What do we need to do? What do we need to do for it's missing the to doing? So what do you need to reach such blessing? What do we need to reach such blessing? I'm going to talk about two main things, right? There are more, but I will concentrate on two. Okay? One of them is the power of resilience. Okay? So resilience is the ability to recover from difficult experiences, to adapt, to move forward, and sometimes get out of this with growth, better. So this is, you can see from the nature, 3 examples of resilience. Persistence. In individual, resilience is dedicated to a combination of genetics, personal history, environment, and situational context. I show something interesting here, that you give an example of individual resilience. So you're looking at those four components, and the research that came upon with those four things said that the genetic part is relatively small. It's more about the experience. So I'll repeat that. Yeah, just because I'm going to talk about this. Personal history, environment, and situational context, right? So, an adversity is a blessing, resilience. A doctor called Stephen Southwick, Professor Southwick. He is a professor emeritus on psychiatry, PTSD, post-traumatic syndrome, I don't remember what that, and resilience at resilience at the Yale University School of Medicine. He wrote a book with an interesting name, saying that resilience is the science of mastering life's greatest challenge. He said that if we can cope with today's challenge, so what is happening today in the world, you know, the world around us, he says that when we are on the other side of it, we'll be stronger. And this is happening with a number of adversities. We usually, you know, if you're doing well, being resilient, we actually cross that bridge and arrive on the other side stronger. Sometimes totally changed for better. So you can think of resilience as a set of skills that can be and often is learned. But resilience, most important part, it's built on our first 20 years of age. It's a result of how we went through our, you know, infants, our teenager lives, early lives, and it regards with how we were loved, felt loved, how we were communicating, friendships. So it's the foundation of our resilience. So if we have those, you know, gone through that time, go through this period in a reasonable, good way, we have a good foundation for resilience. Okay, so the other part of this skill building comes to exposure to very difficult but manageable experiences. Obviously, that if you have a huge trauma, that you throw us in the ditch. But as a normal person, any difficult situation, but manageable, and we then act into building those resiliences, those characteristics of a resilient, okay, we can become a quite well, good resilient person. So, the thing is, as I said before, the other part, apart from that structure, for that foundation, is what is in our resilience toolbox. Some people have funny things in their resilience toolbox. They have drinking, overreacting, gambling, drugs, shopping,
I like
eating.
that. I like that. That too.
Anything wrong with it? No? Yes. Wrong, because those, in fact, do not promote resilience. They are just escape things, right? Huh? Well, momentarily, because in the next. So, instead, the tools that can be learned that good, resilient people have are, first of all, optimism, a realistic one. All right? So they have a positive, realistic outlook. They don't dwell on negative information. Instead, look for opportunities. They, in bleak situations, striving to find a positive within the negative. The lemonade out of the lemon. That's the optimism. They have as well a moral compass. These people, they can very clearly distinguish the good from the bad, right? So the right from the wrong. Intend to guide their decision through that distinction. They also, it's quite important because all of us have a religion and a spiritual belief. They have a belief of something greater than themselves. This is often found through religious or spiritual practice. And like us, the community supports that comes from being part of a religion also enhances the resilience. So the support we gave a system to go through, which means resilience, being resilient. They are as well, they have a cognitive and emotional flexibility, right? So they are altruistic. They have a concern for others and a degree of selflessness. Selflessness, which is not being selfish. They are often dedicated to causes that they find meaningful and give them the sense of purpose. So lots of people that have mutilations coming from the war, the resilient ones, they change their life. They move towards those things that make them useful and really not making any difference the problem they had, the issues they had. They accept, that's one very important thing, they accept what they cannot change and focus energy on what they can change. Resilient people reappraise a difficult situation and look for meaningful opportunities within it, as I said before, okay? They usually have a mission, a meaning, a purpose. Feeling committed to a meaningful mission in life gives them courage and strength. That, okay? And they have social connectedness. So they have a social support system, and they also provide support themselves. Okay, the same doctor, what's his name? Dr. Southwick said that a resilient, very, very few resilient people go alone. Most of the resilient people, they are sociable. They are connected. They have connections, right? Okay, so this is about resilience. Okay. The second one I'm talking about is something that we may really struggle between accepting and refusing. I haven't said what it is yet, but we struggle between accepting and refusing this, right? But if you make the right choice and having persistence, it gives us freedom. Some says it's the beginning of a total transformation, or in Portuguese, is the beginning of dar a volta por cima. For those, so it's cool. You know that. Dar a volta por cima. It's a Brazilian expression that says, you know, overcome a problem, go around. Yeah. All right. So, any guess? What's the second important thing to make adversity into a blessing? Okay. Acceptance. What is acceptance? It's the acknowledgement and acceptance of facts that's too hard for you to change, or that you can change. You cannot change it at all. Accept them. And you start a transformation. It's not giving up. It's not resignation in the sense of, you know, doing nothing. It's not being weak. We gain no blessing, okay? Giving up in adversity. We fail to turn into a blessing. We must accept the challenge of our predicament and ask new questions, asking for, how do I want to see myself in a day or in a month? So think about the problem and then think, okay, I cannot change that. Okay, so how can I see myself in a month, in a day? Or what do I need to face? So it's actually doing an assessment of the situation, right? Or the one that we heard a lot in Spiritism says, what are the lessons that I'm taking from you? What are the lessons that life is trying to teach me? Which is a very spiritual word, right? Or, in simple cases, not too extreme, simply say, that's it, right? Accept the fact and change the focus. Move on, right? Like, for example, this is a good example of that simple one, right? It's raining. And someone goes, oh, I don't like rain. I wish it wasn't raining. My day would be better. It wasn't raining. If it wasn't raining, my day is ruined. Yeah, ruined. Every day it's like this. It's always like this. Or man, why goes? Why does it always rain when I want, you know, is for to be sunny, or I want to go to the beach, or I'm going to lose this stuff. Well, this is that situation. You cannot change the rain, right? And you just need to change the focus and said, yeah, and start thinking, okay, let's start thinking on rainy things. Raining substitution for what it's going to do, okay? Or, yeah. And move on. Or start thinking about alternatives for what has been spoiled. Move on. So, willingness, acceptance, is the willingness to tolerate a difficult situation. The willingness to tolerate a difficult situation. See, willingness. It's a choice, isn't it? Choice doesn't ring some bell, but it's talking about free will. We can choose this. We have the power to choose. If we have the power to choose, we can change. In fact, this can change us, can transform us. At the moment that we choose, this is the first step for transformation. Things actually physically change. We have new neuron connections, the brain changes, the things start moving to a different direction when we actually accept it and start thinking about other alternatives, as opposed to just, lament, or let's say that, complain, yeah, whinge or complain. So we are powerful creatures in this sense. Actually, the most powerful that we know, right? as creatures. Okay? So, as I said before, the emotional and even the physical transformation. So if you are powerful and we are able to change this, it brings a very popular say, probably you guys have heard this before, that says, write your own life story, or somebody will write it for you. You might not like the ending. Right? So we have the power to change. We have the power to alter our own life. No matter the past, we can change our future. However, we must need to accept the past. So accepting the past allows us to write a new future. And transformation continues as we progress, right? So as I said, at the moment we truly accept, the transformation starts, and so a new journey. And then transformation continues. And continual transformation towards the kind-hearted is the journey of our life. It's what leads to happiness and spiritual enlightenment. So acceptance is the critical stepping stone to a better life, to spiritual development, to expansion, as Colin would say. And yes. So knowing what acceptance is about is the first part of moving forward to the life we seek and deserve. And this will start transforming, making adversity as a blessing, turning adversity into a blessing. How are we going? All right, so I give you some pills of wisdom on adversity to add up from what I have said so far. Everything happens for a reason. Everything is all right. Everything is in its right place. It's up to us to make them and turn them into blessing. Another thing is, everything goes by, sometimes quicker than we expect. either for the bad or for the good. It's true. There's no argument about that. Again, it's up to us to be aware of this. Time is a precious ally. It helps us to clarify our mind, give us strength, assistance to leave the hardship strongest with a clear vision about life. This is really the pearl of turning adversity into a blessing. Okay? And someone knows what God didn't promise us? No? There are three things that God didn't promise us. Three, did not promise us. He did not promise us. So, to finalize, God did not promise us days without pain, but he promises strength for the day. He did not promise laughter without sorrow, but promised comfort after the tears. And he did not promise sun without rain, but he promised light for the way. Okay? Any comment? Any more addition? Anyone wants to say something? That's it. Yep.
Just would like to get the hook on that sentence that you said about creation. If you don't create, someone will create for you.
Oh yeah, that's the yeah.
Maybe a popular saying, but it's far from what anyone.
Yeah, no, that's saying about the take responsibility from your life.
So we are the creators. That's solo creators of our life in our experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that's we say responsibility. We are the creators. We are creating all the time. So who do you think creates that diversity?
Hmm?
So who do we think creates that diversity that we're calling here diversity? And that we're just calling for the sake of this lecture diversity. But when we say the word diversity, we are already judging. And in that judgment is something wrong or something unplanned, something unplanned and pleasing, right? But we create everything. Things have consequences. Yeah, the consequences are also created. So seeing that way, adversity is not adversity.
No.
Adversity, like not contrary of everything you said. It's probably the same thing with the word, as I want to bring my experience here. So adversity is not really an adversity. It's just something as a result of my creation. And that's okay. We go this way, we're more comfortable facing the events that come, that we call adversity, if we do it this way. The problem is when we start looking, okay, so my creation, and when you mention about, okay, lessons I'm taking. Yeah, that's the path we go when we start thinking, okay, so I take that, so how did I do? What did I do that caused that? Oh, what do I have to learn here? You know, I had what we call here an adversity happen in my life very recently, right? Mm-hmm. And I went to start as well. Oh, okay, so I did this, so what do I do? What do I have not to do next time? Or how can I prevent it? It didn't take me anywhere, no. It left me with more questions than any answers. Mm-hmm. And probably felt much more free as we said when I abandoned that. Mm-hmm. it does not matter.
Mhm.
It does not matter. It's just a creation. It's an experience.
Mhm.
You know, and then I went this far of just living it. Let's live that too. Then.
Yeah.
What have to do? Let's do.
That's about acceptance.
That's what brought more results. I still don't have answers to questions, but I don't have the questions anymore either.
Yep, yep,
Right?
yep.
So it's
Yeah, the resilience and acceptance, they are one and another. I could speak first, I could mention first acceptance, then resilience, but they are interchangeable. Resilience is really well supported on acceptance. And so is acceptance into resilience. And all the other stuff about asking questions, it varies. It probably will went in a much higher level, even tackling this in a different way, as opposed to the low level, which are all those things I mentioned in the first slide about the perceptions of a diversity. And I was trying to destroy the word adversity because, in fact, adversity is just a term that can be interpreted as a bad thing.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. Adversity is the perception.
yeah.
What is for you adversity may not be for me. It is a perception.
But we tend to perceive this as a person just because it's at that point it collided with what we are thinking or what we are planning. You know, that's why. So it collided. So changing the trajectory of our
Trajectory, yeah, trajectory.
And that's all. Wait a minute, wait. That's not like that thing about controlling and stuff that you said. You know,
Yeah.
I thought I was in control of this, and now I don't know what thinking more and so on.
Yeah.
But when you see this as your creation, it's a creation, it's an experience. It's amazing, and it's even beautiful, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know other people's adversity. I'm talking not for myself.
Mhm.
But when you look at that, it's even beautiful. The experience is beautiful. And I'm not wanting to account for what I learned or not anymore. I don't really care. You know, I just lived it.
Yeah. No,
I'm still living it anyway, but you know.
Yeah. No, you took in a different perspective, which is okay. Some people, religious or based on certain faiths, etc., they may think about what I've learned, and some people actually learn stuff. Because learning is moving their perception and moving their life towards a different, which is make them actually happier, and then they regarded this as a learned. And then it's translated into books, into learning lessons, but may not be learning lessons, living experience that direct you to a different direction. The different direction they take, they may call this lesson, but may not. It's like probably your trajectory may have changed from what you're coming. So you move, slight move, or sharp move, but I hope, and that's what we look for, it's to be happier in that new approach. Overcoming what we thought at the beginning was something that was not really compatible with our expectation for happiness, or happiness of spiritual happiness, or happiness that itself. Do you know what I mean? Understand what I'm trying to say?
I just think like, well, if somehow I was able to create this, that's okay, you know? It's just curious, like, okay, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I saw other people. Do you know Kaka? Kaka. No, but Kaka now have a blog. She is doing unbelievable stuff out of her experience. She changed. She moved to a different direction. We can see the happiness in her, right? But nobody's 100% happy. That's why we are in this world, according to Spiritism.
That's the thing. When we think that something was done to us.
Yes.
And I think that's my point here, that if I could give anyone few of wisdom, that I say, you create this.
Yeah.
Think about that. No, you create this. You can create anything, you can revert it, you can do everything.
Yeah. Yeah, but in fact, what that two doctors, the Brazilian doctors, was doing was exactly into that mindset, to look at your, that was the disease and at your illness. And in her case, in their case, they concentrated on the disease, because disease is usually seen as something bad that happened to me, right? And disturbing my life, changing the trajectory of my life. But it's this opportunity to reassess and understand that it was a creation, that you create that. And you can change it. You can move it. Okay, depending on how it goes, you can move it. And then comes seeing things like fate as well, because some people reverse situations that are considered irreversible, and there is no explanation for that. And that comes faith and religion and philosophy. But again, is when you do something and you don't go prostrate, depressed, thinking that you are punished, that you have done something wrong, that, oh my God, there's no way back, I'm done. So that's what this kind of approach to adversity is about. It's about finding alternatives that many times take you stronger after that. You rise as a phoenix, stronger.
Feeling as a victim of something immobilizing,
Yes.
paralyzing.
Yes.
When you think that something was done to you, that's how you feel. I'm a victim of something.
Yeah.
It's totally different mindset of saying, no, I am still like in control. There is no such thing, but I am cool. I'm not victim.
Yeah. Thanks, Giselle, for this insight, precious insight. Colleen said, let us look at atonement as the realization of at-one-ment. When we see everything as being in tune and in harmony, we recognize the divine in all things, not just living things, but everything. Yeah. Thanks, Colleen. I hope you have agreed with some of the stuff. Just, I think she's still typing. Are you still typing, Colleen?
I stopped. Can you hear me, Jachson?
Speaking, but we cannot listen, can we? No, sorry, Colleen, we cannot listen. We don't have the sound here. Let me see. You need to get this communication better. Unfortunately, we don't have that. Because yeah. Try now, Colleen. Try to say something. We have here Alex working on it. Say something.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear. Is it the maximum volume here? What's the volume? Okay.
Yes, it is. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Great.
You need to speak loud, please.
Okay. So at one-ment, in realizing at one-ment, atonement, we don't need to pay our debts. Everything is wiped. We are given opportunity to see everything in love, and in love, everything dissolves. And so adversity is, as you say, an opinion, a perspective. But in at-one-ment or atonement, we are dissolved into love, and we can do nothing more but just sit in this realization that we are incredibly interconnected in this divine world. And so it becomes a celebration. Cancer becomes a celebration because we are called to embrace it, to recognize in ourselves that we are going on a journey of further and deeper understanding of life that is incredibly rich. It connects us with others. It deepens our connection with ourselves and our bodies. And we are fortunate to find the opportunities in adversity to simply see it all as a brilliant opportunity, as you say. But it isn't easy for many. And it is in the depths of despair when we give up, when we surrender to divine light and say, oh God, what do I do now? And that will bring us to that place of despair. And in despair, therein lies the teacher. And therein the opportunity to silence our minds, to silence the incredible fight that we have in ourselves to protect our individual light, to release it all, and to then allow God, allow divine light to then show us what we need. When we are down and out, when we are totally lost, and sometimes that is where people need to go before they accept atonement, at-one-ment. And some will need to return because they are cross at their lives being short-lived, or their lives are, as Gisele said, taking on a new trajectory or a new direction. The blame game will continue until we see at-one-ment or atonement as being the gift. Yes, yes. Thank you, Jachson. Beautiful. Yes.
Thank you, Colleen. Beautiful, by the way, beautiful shirt. It's from Minas Gerais. Yeah, that shirt she's using. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Thank you for participation, Colleen and Karina. I was still with them.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, we still. So now we're going to our prayer. Okay. So now let's silence our thoughts. Let's try to concentrate on our breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. So let's keep observing for some seconds our breath without interfering. Now, calm. We feel the presence and the joy of the workers of this house, Pedro Manuel and his team. They are giving the blesses, the energy we need, the energy we will now join on the top of this box. The energy we send to those we want to give them comfort, to give them what they need. So let's see this energy growing, and the team will take to them. Let's be thankful to our Master Jesus as well for the inspiration that they give us, that he gave us, the model he was of love. Let's as well send all the energies to those in need in hospitals, in prisons, children that are in suffering, for any type of suffering, for those in countries in war that are in desperation. We send them the energy they need to keep fighting for their safety, for justice, for their justice. Or let's send as well positive energies from our heart to those that are able to influence, to make decisions that will change the life of many. For them, we send those energies for them to make the right decisions, to inspire them through their decisions to make the change the life of people, to raise the level of humanity. And so, thankful to our mentors for bringing us here safe, for making this opportunity possible, for the energy that we will take from here and maybe irradiate to others in our week, in our work, in our family. We take that energy with us and also give it to our close ones, in our work, in our house, along with friends. So, great. I'm thankful for the day we had today. We complete our lecture today. So be it. Thank you. Okay, guys.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Have a
Bye.
nice week. Have a nice week, Karina. Have a nice
You
week, Colleen.
too.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
You too.
See you
Be
next
great
week.
as you are.
Bye-bye.
Bye.